How are you feeling today? Do you feel fulfilled in life? The show will begin in 4 minutes. Are you ready? When was the last time you felt betrayed? When was the last time you felt loved? The show will begin in 3 minutes. Are you ready? What did it feel like to be in love? What is the most painful part of being in love? The show will begin in 2 minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to make a change? The show will begin in 1 minute. I hope you're ready. The show will begin in exactly 30 seconds. Get ready. What if I told you the guy you like is actually into you, but you just don't know it yet? What if I also told you that with an understanding of the subtle ways men show their interest, you would never have to play this guessing game? If that sounds exciting to you, I'm glad, because on today's show, we're going to be discussing 5 signs he's into you, but moving slow. That way you don't end up missing out on the man of your dreams simply because you didn't even realize he wanted you in the first place. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. How are all of you beautiful people doing? Who we got up in the TikTok chat? I see we got Chica, we got Trish here, we got SH here, one of our amazing moderators. Shout out SH. We got Zyra here, we got Kayla here, we got Scotty here, which is like, she's like a Beam moderator. Oh, I gotta make her a moderator. I gotta find out what your username is, Scotty. We got Kay here, Hannah here, Foxy Red. Who we got up in the YouTube chat? Carmen B here, House of Phoenix, Mary. We got Natalie. We got Jazz. We got Izzy. Let me shout out our channel members real quick in the YouTube chat. We got Amal here, one of our channel members. Carmen B, a channel member. Tracy Now's a channel member. Is Ivy here? Ivy is here, a channel member. Let me shout out. Let me make sure I get all the channel members. I think I got all the channel members. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. Okay, shout out all of you beautiful people up in the YouTube chat as well. Guys, let's get this thing started, all right? I don't want to waste any more time. All right. Let's get right into number 1 here, okay? So the point of today's show, what I want you all to understand is there is a very specific line between guys who don't want you and are playing with you and messing around with you versus guys who are capable of being consistent with you, but they're just taking their time, okay? And I want you to understand that that's okay. So number 1, okay? Number 1 is cruise control. Now, what I want you to understand is it's always going to be slightly confusing for you to date a man who actually acts normal and regular. Why? Because for the most of your life, you've been used to dating a very specific type of guy who is usually trying to take advantage of you or extract something from you. So when someone walks into your life who's not necessarily trying to do that, is patient with you, for some of you, that's going to actually feel kind of strange and kind of off, okay? Let me give you a little bit of a visual example of why this can end up feeling strange and making you feel off, and why you can kind of refocus your understanding to know that there's nothing wrong with this, okay? So we're gonna have a road here, okay? And on this curving road, I wanna make sure you guys can see that at the very bottom here. And on this curving road here, we're gonna have 3 separate participants, okay? So we've got Prince Charming here, okay? And we've also got a guy who love bombs you here, okay? So over here, we have Prince Charming. And I'm talking about the Prince Charming you see in your Disney princess movies, okay? So this is Disney. And over here, we have a love bomber, okay? So on this road, we have your Prince Charming and we have a love bomber. So when I'm talking about Prince Charming, I'm talking about the fictional one that you see inside your Disney princess movies. And the love bomber I'm talking about is the type of guy who will try to make himself look and sound like Prince Charming because he wants to make you think that you're a Disney princess, you're Cinderella, you are. But in this story, we're gonna fall in love in 5 minutes, just like in all the Disney princess movies. Now, let's imagine both your Disney prince and the love bomber are running a race, okay? I want to give you guys this visual and we're going to break this down here. Now, in the process of both the love bomber and your Disney prince running this race, you're going to notice they run this race really, really fast, okay? Let me make sure I put this in the right place here. All right, that was kind of confusing. Okay, so your love bomber and your Disney prince, they both run this race in 5 minutes, okay? So it only takes them 5 minutes to get to the finish line, okay? So The Love Bomber and the Disney Prince, they take 5 minutes to get to this finish line, okay? And let's say that this finish line in this scenario is okay? So in this scenario, the finish line is I love you. Now, your Disney Prince, okay, that you've been watching in your movies only takes 5 minutes to get there. That's exactly how the movies goes. They don't have a lot of time. And also, the love bombers that come across in your life also only take 5 minutes to get to this point. Why? Because they want to look and sound like your Disney Prince. They want to make you feel like this is such a magical moment for you. They want to make you feel like this is everything you've ever dreamt of since you were a little girl. So they also want to get to that finish line within 5 minutes. But here's the problem, okay? Right? So you've got your love bomber here. You've got your Disney Prince Charming here. But there's a third person running this race behind them that is let me write this right. The normal guy. Or in this case, the guy that we are going to be discussing here today, okay? So, your normal guy that's sitting right here and running the race here, he is not going to be able to run this race in 5 minutes. He's not going to be able to get to this finish line of I love you in 5 minutes. Here's the problem though. When you're accustomed to the love bombers and you're accustomed to the Disney Prince stories of the guys who get to the finish line in 5 minutes, all of a sudden you start thinking, hey, the normal guy who makes his way downtown, okay? So let me even draw him let me draw him in going around here. So let's just say he comes around here and he takes 5 weeks, okay? So he takes 5 weeks to get to this finish line because he's taking his time, he's analyzing things, he's thinking about things, he's taking his time with you and in this relationship. So you start to feel like something's wrong with the normal guy. The normal guy probably doesn't really like me. He probably doesn't really want me. Maybe there's something wrong with me. He's not into me. This relationship isn't going well. Why? Because you've become so accustomed to this set of circumstances where guys get here in 5 minutes, you actually start believing that guys don't like you if they don't get here in 5 minutes. So this is why I want to bring up this visual for you to kind of understand. Because in this scenario where the Disney Prince and the Love Bomber are both getting to the finish line in 5 minutes, you might think, well, Tomisin, it's so amazing. They got there so much faster. That means they like me so much more. That means they're, a better sprinter. That means they're a better man. And that means, I'm getting a man who's really, really interested in me. But you didn't factor in the fact that after they get to that finish line in 5 minutes and they celebrate for, 10 minutes, eventually the officials come downstairs and they signal to everyone that the Love Bomber and the Disney Prince have been disqualified for the race for using steroids. And since they use steroids, even though they finished in 5 minutes, they're disqualified and nothing that they have just done counts towards the race here, okay? And the reason I bring that up is because in your relationships, right, these men that finish in 5 minutes, I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about emotionally, okay? These men that get to the finish line in 5 minutes and they tell you I love you in 5 minutes, it feels good for a little bit until you realize it was all for nothing because you're not even going to be in a relationship with them because it was all fake, okay? It was all a facade. Nothing was real. So what's the point of having someone finish in 5 minutes when everything ends up being a facade anyways, and it doesn't count for anything in the end? So I say that to say, in your relationships, what can happen, especially when we're talking about the amount of time you guys are dating, you can start feeling, especially in terms of the schedule, you can start feeling like guys need to finish in 5 minutes. So even more than just the I love you, you can start feeling like the pace of the relationship isn't going as fast as you want it to go. So let me give you an even more direct example of what I'm talking about. When let's say you meet a guy, right? And in the process of you meeting this guy, you go on one date. Now you're expecting we're going to go on a next date fairly soon, right? Not an unnatural thing to think. But you've become so accustomed to the Disney prince type of men and the love bombers in your life, you're actually anticipating he should be asking me out on a second date before we even finish the first date. As soon as I'm walking out the door, he should want to see me tomorrow. And so when you meet a guy who will meet you, have a great date with you, and maybe not necessarily set up a next date with you for the next day, you start thinking, well, something's going on here. Something's wrong here. I don't think he likes me. I don't think he's into me. I don't think this is working. Your anxiety starts bubbling. You start losing control. You snowball, and then you become very unattractive to those men, right? And so a lot of times you can end up fumbling guys that like you because your anxiety is bubbling out of nowhere simply because you're so used to guys doing everything in 5 minutes that you don't know what it feels like to actually build a relationship, okay? So that can become a problem in itself. So when a guy wants to take you out on a date and then the next time he wants to take you out on a date is next week, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not interested in you or he doesn't like you. Sometimes it just means that he's moving slow. Now, I want you to understand there's a difference between moving slow and being unintentional about you, okay? So what you want to understand is that consistency is what you're looking for more than anything, okay? You've heard the story of the tortoise and the hare. I don't need to tell you that story again. But the understanding that you need to remember is that him being consistent with you throughout the relationship that he has with you or throughout this talking stage is what you're looking for. So what you need to get a grip and understand is what is his version of consistency. Is his version of consistency going out on a date with you every week? Is his version of consistency going out on a date with you every 2 weeks? Okay. Is his version of consistency going out with you twice a week, whatever it may be, or every weekend, whatever it may be? So you get an understanding of what his consistency is, see if that is escalating and building over the course of time, or if it's decreasing or staying stagnant, and you use that to judge whether or not he's serious about you, okay? Because a guy that can be consistent with you, while it might not necessarily get to the finish line in 5 minutes, he might not be saying I love you since he first met you, right? He might still be very intentional with you and want this relationship. And the reason we're having this show today, and I need to mention this to you, is like I said earlier, this can be another way where your anxiety begins bubbling up for no reason. And when your anxiety is bubbling up because you feel like, oh my God, he hasn't told me he loves me, he hasn't told me he wants to marry me, you start bringing out all of these very unattractive sides of yourself. You start getting more desperate, you start getting more needy, even though he already likes you. But by the time you start building or bringing out that desperate, needy energy within you, you become unattractive to men and you don't let them cook. Okay? You gotta let men cook. Okay, so let's hop into our next point here. Does that make sense to all you beautiful people so far? Got any questions, any of you? I should have drawn that graph better, but it's okay. I'm not an artist. I teach. I don't do art, okay? One day I'll get an artist to do this for me. So, number 2, what I want to discuss with you, okay, that I want you to take notice of. What I want you to take notice of when it comes to guys that you're in a relationship with, that you're building with, is how he's spending his free time. Because a guy can be moving slow with you in a relationship, but he is transitioning his free time to spending it with you as opposed to spending it in other places. Let me break it down for you in a visual, okay? So here we have a man's responsibility, okay? So he's got days here. So each box we'll say is a day here, okay? So he's got all these different days here, right? And things that he needs to get done at different times, at different dates in his schedule that need to get done that are responsibilities. Now, these things in his life are things that cannot change, budge, or really be adjusted. He might be able to move them to a different date, maybe. He might be able to rearrange them in their order, but these are responsibilities for a reason, meaning they're very hard to adjust. They can't just vanish, poof, out of thin air. The reason I say that is because these are fixed in stone. Now, of course, in the time of a week, in a month, in a daily routine, guys are also going to have free days and free time, okay? So these free days are kind of going to be scattered ever so slightly, and you know, they're going to be here and there, right? So one free day might be a Monday. Another free day might be a Tuesday. Another free day might be a Saturday night. Another free period might be a Wednesday afternoon, okay? So what's going to happen is at the very beginning of his relationship with you, obviously you haven't been in his life this entire time. So basically, majority of these free days are going to be taken up by his boys, okay? So obviously you just started seeing this man. So all of his free days are taken up by his boys here, right? Let me put free days. Right? And since all of these free days are taken up by his boys, you don't have any. Now, what you're going to notice is as time goes on in your relationship, right? And this is what's supposed to happen. And this is what I want you to take notice of, even if you feel like this guy is moving slow. What you're going to notice is as time goes on, you're going to have as time goes on, you're going to have days. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say you. He's going to have days for the boys, and then he's going to have days and times for you. So what I want you to start taking notice of, and the reason I want you to take this visual in, is because as time goes on, instead of paying attention to, hey, has he told me I love you in the first 5 minutes, what I want you to start paying attention to is he sacrificing and transitioning his free days and his free time to spending some of that time with me instead of spending all of that time with his boys. And what I also want you to take notice of is he more than willing and desiring to transition his life to taking some of those free days away from his boys and putting some of those free days into me, okay? Now, this might seem basic in itself, but it's something that actually can be hard to notice, especially if you're not paying attention to it. Because a guy who's intentional about you and actually wants to build with you will be more than willing to transition his free time to being with you. Now, what I also want you to take notice of is if you have to pull hair or pull teeth in order to get him to not spend time with his boys and spend time with you instead, that's a problem in itself. Now, vice versa, what I want you to take notice of is if he naturally makes this transition himself, where he's starting to separate some of these free days for his boys, but also make sure he has days, here for you as well, that is a sign that this guy actually is into you and wants you, and you might not even realize it, because this is the thing. And this is what I want you, this is why I kind of broke this down and I had to put this part of responsibilities here for you to visualize, because these in the responsibility basket are really not movable. They're not adjustable. And depending on who this guy is or how amazing or awesome or busy he actually is, there could be more days in this basket, okay? Meaning that there could be more fixated parts of his schedule or life that cannot really be adjusted or changed, meaning he's not going to be able to spend that time with you. And so if you're dating a really successful man, if you're dating a man that has a lot going on, he might not have a lot of these free days here. And so you might end up in a situation where the guy you're dating is only going on a date with you every week and a half, or is only going on one date with you every 2 weeks, okay? And so I don't want you to get discouraged with thinking, oh, simply because he's not trying to date me every single day of the week, that means he's uninterested in me. Because depending on who he is, depending on how much responsibility he has, his on free days, his scheduled days might be in a category where he only has a very limited amount of free time, but even in the free time he does have, he does split this up between his boys, his friends, his whatever, and you. That still means he can be intentional with you and intentional in his relationship with you without it necessarily being something that happens all in the first 5 minutes, okay? Are you all following me so far? Does that make sense to you guys, okay? So let's go on to our next point, all right? Let's go on to our next point. Make this go nice and quick. I wanna make sure we get to it. All right. So the other thing that I want you to take notice of in point number 3 here, and this is something that will definitely resonate with those of you who are on the younger side. I want you to take note of the silent doers. One of the things that's going to happen in your relationships is you're going to start realizing that some men that you date are not big on the texting. They're not big on the phone. They're not big on the communication over the phone. Okay. Now, what I want you to understand is actually you should be happy and throwing yourself some applause if you get an opportunity to meet a man who's not very good over the phone. Why? Because 90% of the time, right, majority of the time, when they don't put that energy towards being great over the phone, they usually put that energy towards something else, either being a better version of himself or being a better partner to you in person, okay? You're probably gonna notice this over the course of time. The best texters that you've ever texted in your life probably were the least interesting people. And usually the people who were the worst texters ended up being the most interesting people in real life, okay? It's just a weird thing that goes on. So the reason I call this a silent doer is because I want you to take note of this visual here, okay? Right? So here's the thing. When you're, let's put you here, okay? And let's put the guy you're dating here. Now, let's imagine your relationship kind of like a bar, okay? Now, in your relationship, I put bad man here for a reason. In your relationship with a bad man, as you're building this relationship, you're gonna notice it go a lot like this, okay? Actually, let me do this even better so you can really visualize it, okay? So in your relationship with a bad man, you're going to notice it look a lot like this. Now, what did I just draw here? Now, essentially, I want you to think about this like this visual, like the intensity going on in your relationship. So in a very short period of time, you and this bad man are very, very, very intense, okay? This happens, let's just say this period of time here is like 1 week, okay? That's going on here, right? 1 week of time, you guys are super duper intense. You're attached at the hip. You can't get enough of each other. You're smelling each other's hair. You're smelling each other's armpits. You're telling each other, I love you. You guys are going to get married. You guys are going to have babies. And you and this bad man are doing so much in 1 week. It's like you had 13 lives in that 1 week. But you want to know what happens for the other 6 months? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You want to know why? Because these men are very good at making it really intense at the very beginning, and then they ghost you and they disappear on you for the rest of the 6 months. But here's the thing, kind of like I mentioned with the race here, see, this is the thing about good men, or the men who are moving slow, we'll say, okay? Taking their time in the relationship. Their relationship with you is going to look a lot more like this and not like this. So if you've been accustomed to this, this is going to be very confusing to you. What this is essentially is over that same 6 months, instead of it being 1 week of hyper intensity going on in 5 minutes, this process is going to be like burst of intensity, then it's chill and relax. Then a burst of intensity, then it's chill and relaxed. And a burst of intensity, then chill and relax, and so on and so on and so on for the rest of the 6 months. Now, this can be considered moving slow if you're accustomed to this. But what you hate in terms of this is the aftermath of this when nothing is happening for the rest of the 6 months. So the reason I call this point the silent doer is because some guys that you're going to be dating are going to be guys who are good at being intense with you when they see you, spend time with you, and spend time around you, i.e. in person on this date. And when they're not with you, they might not be big texters. They might not be big, phone callers. They might not want to, talk about how much they love you and want to be around you 24/7. Once again, this can start to make your anxiety bubble because you start to feel like, I'm so used to any guy who's into me being super intense with me in the first week. I don't understand why this guy is not doing that same thing. And you start to convince yourself that he's not interested in you instead of paying attention to where you should be paying attention to, which is how consistent is he with you. Because the consistency is what's actually going to show you whether or not he's serious about you. And you can actually end up missing out on some great guys or some great relationships, either because you just stop talking to those guys or because your anxiety takes over so much that you actually self-sabotage in that relationship because you're wanting things to be really intense really fast. And so a lot of times, even in a relationship like this, in this space in between here, where maybe you're not talking as much, or maybe you're not having as much conversation, right? In this space in between here, you might get so agitated or have so much anxiety that you start fights, right? You start fights to try to bring back a level of intensity into your relationship, hoping that it can be more like this. Because when this space is going on here and you're feeling like, damn, this is kind of boring here. I kind of want this to be more intense, more fast. And you're thinking to yourself, how can I get this to be more intense? You start bringing up arguments, your anxiety is bubbling. So you start bringing up this and this and that. And then you start getting into fights with him to try to amp up the intensity in the spaces in between. But a lot of times you can end up either scaring those men away or just putting yourself in a position where he's no longer on the hunt for you or desiring to chase you because now you're chasing after him, trying to recreate this level of intensity here, okay? So sometimes it can be a mistake in itself to convince yourself that guys don't like you simply because they don't treat you like this, okay? And not recognizing that when a guy treats you like this, right, and he's consistent with you and intense with you in short bursts on a consistent basis, that's actually what you're looking for your long-term happiness, okay? Because right here, right, this graph here, this is long-term happiness. This graph up here, this is not even a graph, this visual up here, this is short-term happiness because you can have like 8 of these. Okay, you can have literally, if this is 1 week, you can have 4 of these a month. All right, 52 of these you can have a year. 52 different men you can say that you wanted to marry for 1 week and then it's gone for the next 6 months, okay? You can do this 52 times a year. This is something that is long-term happiness, meaning it's not gonna be super intense, we're gonna get married in the first week. However, for your long-term happiness in the relationship and feeling good about yourself, you will eventually find that long-term happiness being with the man who's capable of doing this with you instead of doing this with you. Okay, so don't confuse yourself that way. Let's move on to our next point here. Okay, does that make sense to all you beautiful souls so far? I hope that it does. I hope it does. Okay, let's move on to our next point, which is point number 4. We're moving fast today. I want to write that right. Me want to write that right. Okay. So point number 4, we got the friend group. Now, this is something that can be a little bit confusing to some of you if you haven't been in this position before. See, when guys meet you, some of them are not going to, write that P properly. Some of them are going to obviously they're going to date you and go on dates with you. Now, the confusing part can come in where he starts ingratiating you into his friend group, where you can start to feel like you're in the friend zone. But let me explain to you why this is actually a good thing, even though it can make your relationship feel like it's moving along a little bit slower, okay? So in the beginning, you're here, right? And the guy that you're dating is here. Also, all of his friends are here. Now, obviously, when you start dating a guy, you don't want to be on the opposite side the entire time, because you have to understand all of his friends here, they exist within his life, okay? So this is his life here, right? This is his bubble of people and friends and family and all that good stuff. And so you're on the opposite side of that when you first meet him. We want to get you to cross into this side. So what a lot of guys are going to try to do in the process of dating you, right, even in a more subtle way, is they're going to attempt to bring you over here. So you can be on this side here, existing over here as part of the friend group, as part of his life, okay? Now, this is a good thing. It also can be a very confusing thing if you don't understand what's going on here, because you can start to feel like you're in the friend zone with a guy when he's trying to ingratiate you into the friend group, especially when we're compounding that with the idea that, hey, this guy doesn't seem to be head over heels in love with me in the first week. He hasn't told me he loves me yet. He hasn't told me he wants to marry me yet. He hasn't told me how much, he wants me to have his babies. But now we're kind of hanging out and I'm part of his life now. I know his friends now. I know some of his siblings. But you still feel like this isn't moving as fast and as intense as I want it to move. But here's the thing though, a lot of guys will start ingratiating you in the friend group because they want you to be a part of their life, okay? The life that they actually have going on an everyday basis. And so what you need to know is that guys, see, there's a difference between being in the friend zone and being ingratiated into the friend group. What you'll notice is being in the friend zone, he's not gonna be inviting you to a lot of these group events, okay? Right? If you're in the friend zone, you're going to be the one feeling the need to include him in a lot of things, okay? When you're when he's trying to ingratiate you into the friend group, what he's going to be trying to do is he wants to do things with you. He wants to do life with you. So he wants you to tag along. He wants you to know his friends. He wants his friends to be friends with you. That way it makes it easier for you to be a part of his life. Now, every guy has a slightly different approach to this, right? And you have to understand that not every guy's vibe is to come up to you and say, hey, I want you to know that I'm madly in love with you. And I'm gonna, take a bullet for you and run to the ends of the earth for you. And I just met you, okay? Right? And some guys are gonna take this a little bit slower, but that doesn't mean he doesn't like you. It doesn't mean he doesn't want you, but I want you to recognize this. And of course, I want you to recognize this because I don't want your anxiety to be bubbling, because the guys that you're dating are moving a little bit differently than the guys who've been love bombing you. Okay? Are you following me? Are you following what I'm saying so far? Very important, okay? So you want to make sure that you're taking note of this with the guys that you're dating, that if he's ingratiating you into the friend group, that you understand that that's also a sign that he's definitely into you and he definitely likes where this is going and he's building towards something, okay? Take notice of guys who are consistent and take notice of guys who are building their relationship with you, bringing you closer to them over the course of time. I'm not saying that he's going to jump on top of you and tell you everything you want to hear in 5 minutes, but what I'm saying is take notice of the efforts over time and the things that are done over time, especially with guys. You guys know that it's a lot of action when it comes to guys and not about a whole lot of words, okay? You're following me so far. You're down with me so far, okay? Let's go on to our next one, our next point here. Okay, so we got point number 5. What did I write down here? Okay, so one of the things that you're going to notice when you're talking to guys, okay, is they're going to be the guys that might be taking it slow to the point where it's probably upsetting to you and you don't like how slow they're taking it. You want to take notice of there are men, actually the smart men, okay, the men who are also intentional will be analyzing the process of dating you. Because I want you to kind of think of this and look at this visual just so you can understand why some of these guys do this, and we're going to discuss obviously. So when you very first start dating a guy, you're going to go from this point here, right? So obviously you're going to start off as strangers to each other. Then you're going to start talking to each other. Then you're going to start dating each other. And then eventually you get engaged, and then obviously eventually you get married, okay? So the reason I bring this up is because I want you to understand throughout each and every one of these processes, remember what I tell and talk to you all about: analyzing information, observing information. See, there are men who are smart enough to understand that they also need to apply that same concept in their relationships as well. And they shouldn't assume that they're, obsessed with you and you're absolutely perfect just by meeting you in the first 5 minutes. So what you're going to notice is the men who are actually the most intelligent, the most patient, and understand the seriousness as it relates to getting to this point here, okay? The men who actually understand and take in the level of seriousness required to get to this point will understand that getting through all of these so-called checkpoints is so important that at each and every place he is analyzing information, that he is also observing what is going on, and that he's also checking in with himself and you to make sure that things are moving along in the right direction as they're supposed to. Now, an intentional man, okay, that might not necessarily move and do everything in 5 minutes, will also be taking a note and an understanding of, hey, in the process of meeting her and going through all of these stages with her, I have to give myself time and her time for me to see and understand her in multiple different aspects. Meaning, I can't just say when we slurped spaghetti together on a Saturday night that is the be all and end all of all I need to know about her. I actually have to be smart enough to understand that I don't know everything about this woman simply by watching her slurp spaghetti on a Saturday night. And if we're going to get to this point of being married, there's more information that I need to gather of her and of our relationship before I can determine that I'm ready to fully jump into being her boyfriend. Now, this is the thing I want you to take note of, okay? The guys that are intentional about you but just moving slow will not have a problem with committing to you. And their issue, right, or in terms of them getting here, it's not about, oh, if I will commit. The answer for them is really when they will commit to you and say, hey, I want you to be my girlfriend. See, when you're moving in the right direction here, when things are going well, because I know some of you get a little bit confused, okay? when you're moving in the right direction, by the time you become his girlfriend, it won't be a shocker to you. You won't be surprised. You'll have felt this coming for many, many weeks now because you guys will be acting like it. You'll feel that energy. You'll feel that focus from him. And by the time he asks the question, you might be, oh, I'm so surprised, but you're not really that surprised because you could see and feel the relationship progressing and moving forward. That's what I want you to identify is the difference between a guy who's moving slow, analyzing and processing information and then moving to the next checkpoint versus a guy who has no intention with you at all, okay? Because a guy who has no intention with you at all, you won't feel like things are progressing. You won't feel like things are moving forward. You'll actually just be confused and you'll feel very stagnant because you'll be running, going in circles like this, trying to figure out what direction are we going in today and where is this supposed to be today, okay? With guys who are moving slow, you won't be confused about how they feel about you. You might just not like the pace that things are going at. Are you following me and following the difference, okay? Because a guy who is intentional but moving slow still knows what he wants with you, still knows how, where he wants this relationship to go with you, still knows what he likes about you, and we're going to talk about that in another show as well. Things guys will be able to answer when they actually like you, right? And you won't have confusion like Amar just said, right? You won't be confused. But I want you to take note of that because I don't want your anxiety to bubble. I don't want that, okay? Right? It's easy for us to talk about here and we all say okay, but when you're in it and you're in the relationship and the guy is not falling in love with you in 5 minutes, you start to feel like, oh my God, what's going on here? Why isn't he telling me he loves me? Why doesn't he want to spend every minute with me? Why doesn't he want to see me every day? Why doesn't he want to commit the rest of his life to me and put a ring on it even though he just met me? And you can start questioning yourself and the relationship that you have with him because you feel like it's proper or normal for him to commit himself to you and tell you how in love he is with you in that first 5 minutes. But I'm here to tell you, even the men that are moving slow still can be very into you, very intentional about you, but the consistency is what you want to be paying attention to more than the intensity, okay? Right? Things can still be intense and they still should be intense, but intense on a consistent basis as opposed to being super intense for a short period of time and then super cold for a longer period of time. Are you all following me? Does that make sense to all you beautiful souls? Do you guys have any questions about what we just discussed here? Okay. We had our 5, which was number 1 was cruise control, number 2, free time, number 3, the silent doer, number 4, the friend group, and number 5, analyzing the process. Okay. Does that make sense to all you beautiful people, beautiful souls so far? Right? Curry says, no anxiety, you watch for consistency. Precisely. You want to be watching for consistency. You want to be making sure that he's consistent more than anything. That is the most important thing to you always, okay? Someone says, repeat number 1. All of the points are available above my head on my YouTube page. Just go to my YouTube, type in Tomisin Atobatele, and I'm live there on the same time as I'm live on TikTok. And then by the time you get there, you can rewatch the show and rewatch all of the points there. So you don't have to be worried that you missed some of the points, okay? They're all available on my YouTube page in the live section, okay? Josh says, where can we find the tortoise men? Well, the tortoise men are all around. I'll tell you the honest truth. The tortoise men are usually not going to be on dating apps, okay? Because the function of dating apps is to get it quick and easy. So you're probably going to have to find those tortoise men in real life, okay? And to be honest with you, I actually, if you wanted my own personal advice for you, I would advise you to be looking for men who can be more consistent with you and already have things going on that they can't even possibly be that intense with you in the first, 7 days, that can actually withstand the course of time in their relationship with you, because I think you'll see a lot better results dating those type of men than men who are telling you how much they love you on the very first date. I know some of us want to believe in love at first sight, and I'm not here to tell you you're wrong in that. But I will say love at first sight can get you played a lot, because when you start believing that men can really fall in love with you just by seeing you, they can use that narrative to convince you that your relationship is a lot deeper than it actually is, make it really intense really fast, and then disappear on you after, a couple of days and leave you wondering what the heck has gone on, okay? Kubi says if you want a tortoise man, go get yourself an earth sign. That's funny. That's funny. Does that make sense? Admel says avoidants are happy with Tomisin today. That's pretty funny. I'm an avoidant, so I'm actually describing me in a way, right? I'm an avoidant, so I'm a lot like this in what I described, and my approach to relationships is a lot like this. I like to analyze information. I like to make sure I'm making the right decision. And so in the process of that can turn some people off that are waiting for me to make the decision in the first 5 minutes, right? But it doesn't mean that I'm not making a decision or I'm unsure about the decision that I want to make, but I am analyzing information to make sure when I do commit myself to that decision that I'm making the right decision, okay? That's not an everyone thing, but some men that you come across will make you feel like this, but it's not necessarily because they don't want to be with you or they're unintentional about you. That's why we're having this show, so that you can understand the difference between those two things. Does that make sense to all of you beautiful, beautiful people in the chat, okay? Someone says you are avoiding attachment. I am 100% avoiding it. Well, I would say like between like avoidant and secure, I guess, if you could kind of make it a range type of thing, as an avoidant secure thing like that. But if we had to lean towards something, probably more avoidant than anything else. Okay, right? Someone says how to catch an avoidant. Maybe we'll have a whole show about that one day on how to catch an avoidant, and we'll break that down, right? Right. M92 says I can move fast. I just have to feel secure. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But just understand, not every when you're moving really fast, it becomes very hard to make clear decisions as well. And I actually would advise those of you who are in relationships or exploring relationships to be moving yourself at a slower pace, so that you can also be sure of the decisions that you're making and feel comfortable in them. Okay. Right. Amal says, what did you do to fix it and change it? That was really more about my intention of actually wanting to adjust and not make it impossible to be in a relationship with me, okay? Someone says, what's my Instagram? My Instagram is right above my head on the top left corner of the screen. All right, so chat, let's hop into our next segment of the day, which is gonna be our React segment of the day, where we're going to watch some TikTok videos around town and around the universe, and we're going to discuss them in detail about how they're affecting us in our relationship. So everyone, spam up your camera emojis, spam up your baby oil emojis, and spam up your headphone emojis, and we're going to get right into our next segment. Okay, so in the process of me cleaning up and getting this all set up and ready for you people, I'm gonna have you all watch a video. Remember, this is class. You gotta be paying attention. So we're gonna have a little intermission here. I'm gonna play a video which comes today. Our intermission video comes from a creator, a YouTuber named Matthew Hussey, okay? He's a great YouTuber, big YouTuber over on the tube. He talks about relationships, and he's gonna be talking about a subject in which I don't talk about. He's gonna be talking to you guys today about 3 texting secrets men can't resist. So let's see what Matthew Hussey has to say, okay, while I get ready.
Oh, hi. I was just texting. Let's talk about texting for a moment. Some people say, well, I'm not the type of person that texts. I just don't like texting. Well, if that's the case, then you're the weird one, because everybody is texting. It needs to be got over. Texting is one of those things that can be an evil both ways. If you never text and you're the person that only wants to be on the phone, then you miss vital opportunities to flirt and connect and have fun. For example, you might send a text that says, you looked cute today, that you wouldn't want to make a phone call for. You wouldn't want to call someone up and go, you looked cute today. All right, bye. Weird. But with texting, you can send that text. It's easy. On the other extreme, of course, you have the person that texts 20 times a day and never calls. That person is an idiot. Have you ever been on a date, for example, and found that having texted and texted and texted and thought you got close, you suddenly realize it's really awkward because you've never actually had a proper conversation with that person? Such are the dangers of texting. There are 3 things that I want to give you today. The first one, give value in your text messages. When you say, hey, what are you up to? Hey, it both shows that you're bored and boring at the same time. When you say, hey, what are you up to? It's the equivalent of you saying, please entertain me, because I couldn't be bothered to think of anything interesting to send you. You entertain me. So what are some interesting things you can do by text? Well, one of them is sending a picture message. Pictures are great because you send a picture that reminds you of someone or in some way triggers a joke that you've both had or a memory. You send it to them with a little caption saying why you think it's relevant. I got a text message recently in the last couple of days that was a picture of a house, and outside there was a sign that said Hussy House on the postbox, which was funny. It could either mean a cute little cottage or a whorehouse. Number 2. What was number 2, Jameson? Number 2, eliminate some of the question marks in your text messages. I would much prefer to send someone a message saying, hey, I'm doing this thing this weekend, you should come, than saying, hey, what are you up to this weekend? Do you want to come and join us when we do blah, blah, blah? One of them shows uncertainty, one of them shows complete certainty. And just, it's going to be fun. Why would you even ask if they want to come? Just tell them to come. You don't need to add the question mark and give them something to reject. Just be assumptive. The certainty that comes with it communicates a much deeper level of confidence that you want someone to see in you. And number 3, use text as a way to assert your standards and to communicate your standards. I was on radio recently telling the story of someone I used to see in London. We would see casually each other. I was traveling. I wasn't living in London, okay? So stop judging. I was there now and again traveling, and I'd be like, hey, you want to get together? And I'd be like, I have an hour between these 2 meetings. Let's see each other. She said, I'm not really a 1-hour time slot kind of a girl. This was upon receiving a text message from me. She sent this. I'm not really a 1-hour time slot kind of a girl, but if you want to take me on a date this week, that'd be lovely. She put a winky face at the end. Changes everything. It wasn't like, I'm not really a 1-hour time slot kind of a girl, so if you want to take me on a date this weekend, that'd be lovely. It was a little wink, a little cheeky. It was fine. It was playful. The tone was right, but the standard was there. That's a great text. Immediately, I saw her differently and the dynamic changed. So those are 3 things you can do. Add value, eliminate your questions, and show your standard through text messages. By the way, I have something a little special for you. A mini texting crash course that's complimentary. I'm going to give it to you. I don't even want to charge.
Thank you, Matthew Hussey, for your texting secrets. And thank you for advising us all on how to be better texters. You guys going to take that advice, okay? Let's hop right into our next segment of the day, which is our reaction segment. And we are going to discuss some of these videos that you all have sent to me. So let's start off here. I'm sure these are going to be very interesting today. We got a lot to do. So I think we did that one. We did Christian. I think we're on Margarita.
I'm going to tell you one thing that if you know this about men, you're never going to have problems. You will not have issues, okay? I have taken my kids swimming, Hot Mess Express, but listen to the wisdom. Listen. Men want to get girls, right? Men want to get women. They want to get with women. That's what they want. But you know what men don't want? Every man. I don't care who he is. I don't care where he is. I don't care what he's saying in the comments. I don't care. Men, as soon as they get in a relationship, for some reason, we don't get it because we're women and we're smart, they feel trapped. You're trying to control him. You're trying to tell him what to do. Freedom. He's like protecting his freedom, like he's working for the defense force, you know what I mean? Like, they all want to protect their freedom. So as much as you're going to say that I don't want to play games, I don't want to do this, I don't want to play games, I don't want to make him feel da-da-da-da-da, one thing in relationships. If you can give him the relationship you want, love, affection, everything you want to do, but the feeling and the impression that he is free, chef's kiss. That is what they want. How do you do that? Okay, how do you do that, Margarita? Very easy. The more freedom you give them, the more they come to you. They come to you so much. They come to you all the time that they even become a nuisance, okay? The more you lean in, the more they lean out. They are very afraid of losing their autonomy and their freedom to a woman, because women seem to engulf a relationship with their love. You know the devouring mother thing in Greek mythology? Like, women like to devour with their love. Not all, basically all. So what you need to do is lean out, lean back, be the receiving energy, not the giving energy. And as much as you feel right now with the man at home that you have, that if you lean out, he's going to completely lean out and you're never going to see him, one of two things will happen. Either you'll lean out thinking I'm talking shit, but gradually, not the first week, not the second week, not the third week, when you're not nagging him, berating him, asking him, the person who asks more questions is the less powerful one. The person who leans in more is the less powerful one in the relationship. Week 4, week 5, he will start leaning in. You'll be like, I cannot believe this guy. I cannot believe this guy. I've been trying to tell him to initiate. I've been trying to tell him this, that, and the other. The more you tell him to initiate, the less he will do it. The more you tell him to do something, the less he will do it. Because you know why? Not because he's stupid. They don't take out their bin, and they don't not take you on a date, and they don't not buy you flowers because they're dumb. They don't do it because they don't want to be controlled. They don't want to be.
She really smart. She really smart. I agree with what Margarita said, talking as a man. One of the, it's weird. It's science, but it's weird science. It doesn't make sense. I know you're feeling like if I tell him that that's what I want and I want him to do this and he should do that because he loves me and he wants to be with me. But unfortunately, when you do it that way, it never ends up you getting what you want. So the best way to go about getting what you want is to listen to the strategies and techniques in which you can plant seeds within men and have them believe that, oh, I'm inspired or I feel the need to do or say this particular thing. They take action in the direction that you already wanted them to take action, and then you're happy, he's happy, everyone's happy. But you have to understand that you actually get what you want not by asking for it, but by planting a seed within him that grows, right? Grows roots in his own mind and sprouts in his own mind, and then that takes him to start taking action in the direction that you want him to take action, okay? Right? Someone says, so baby men, you're not babying them at all. You're not babying them whatsoever. What you're doing is you're understanding that men are going to feel the most manly when they're acting of what they feel like is their own volition, meaning their own intention, their own mind, their own desires. That's what makes them feel like a man, like they're hunting. But what you want is particular things, love, affection, treatment in the relationship. You can get that, but still make your man feel like, oh, it was his decision, it was his choice to do that by planting seeds. You following me? Okay. It's complicated, but that's what we talk about in the Players Club. So we got lots of time to talk about this.
Should you tell anyone at all that you're a late bloomer? That's a great question. Let's talk about this. Hi, my name's Laura. I'm a 34-year-old late bloomer who accidentally didn't start dating until the age of 32. And I want to talk about this concept of why you need to come out as a late bloomer at all, or even should you. First and foremost, I want to just start off by saying that you do not owe anyone any information about you unless you feel comfortable giving it. So there's that first aspect of this point, which is something I say all about on my channel all the time. When I approach dating even now and when I first started, I would never tell someone that I've never been on a date ever. I would tell someone I didn't have much dating experience. It's not a lie, it's not the whole truth, and it's all they honestly really need to know. The reason, however, I do like to tell people that I am seriously pursuing dating with is that...
Even a side note, I would even say one step further. If you don't have a lot of dating experience, you should probably just tell people that I haven't found someone that I'm actually looking for, or I actually, found interesting. Also, not a lie. Also, you don't need to go into a whole diatribe about how little dating experience you have.
That I had not had a lot of those first relationship milestones that a lot of people had already experienced. And as someone who in their 30s had never experienced romantic attention, how do I put this? Being in close proximity to someone was really difficult, actually. You would think that I come from a family that doesn't hug people. No, my family is super, super affectionate, but being in the space of someone who is showing romantic interest in you, I had no life experience with. And I found that I was really afraid. After my first date with my now ex, I did tell him this was my first ever date. But I wanted him to know because I was so skittish. And I didn't want there to be this awkward moment where if he was just, casually putting like a hand on my shoulder or touching my hand, I would have jumped out of my skin in that moment. So I feel like explaining that I did not have this experience came from a place of fear. And I wanted to it was almost like I wanted to set a boundary and see if the person I was communicating with would respect it. Now, here's the thing. When I did communicate that to my then partner, the way he respected my personal space actually made me super comfortable really quickly. And that actually made me open up very fast. But I feel like I wanted him to know because things that people take for granted, very simple things like flirting, any kind of physical touch, however innocent, the expectation for that first date kiss, I was not going to be comfortable with that. And I didn't have to give someone my whole life story to explain that. You can just give these boundaries without explaining all of that. But as someone who's very open, I wear my heart on my sleeve, I just wanted to be very forthright that I had not hit these relationship milestones yet, and this is why. I used to joke all the time that the more he respected me, the more I wanted him to disrespect me a little bit.
Wait.
Which is a terrible joke. But just in general, the more
what type of... anyways.
respectful my ex was of the slowness I needed to take things, the more it made me trust him. So him knowing this about me worked in my favor.
Okay, that sounded a little bit... I won't say it. Never mind. So the point being here, I actually would advise you also, because she didn't really get too deep into it, I wouldn't advise you to go on a huge diatribe, just meaning a whole tangent on how little dating experience you have if you have little dating experience. Unfortunately, not every man you date will have the best of intentions, meaning they're, like I always tell you, men are opportunists. They're not evil people, but they are opportunists, meaning if they see something that they can take advantage of, they will do that. So I say that to say, you make yourself a target when you go out on dates and you just start spilling how I don't know anything about dating. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what boys are like. I don't know anything about them. I don't know this and I don't know. You make yourself, it's okay to be naive. We all have to learn. I was green at one point too. But when you come out and you're so upfront about that, they immediately think to themselves, quite interesting that you don't know anything about dating. So you don't know even the most basic of tricks. You don't know even the most basic of games that guys will play with you when they don't actually want to build a relationship with you. And they'll start thinking in their mind that, oh, this is a perfect situation for me to take advantage of this woman because she'll have no idea what's going on. She'll have no idea what goes on in relationships type of thing. So we don't want you in a position like that. And in order for us to not put you in a position like that, you can't be coming out and telling guys how little experience you have in dating stages. Like I said earlier, instead you can say, hey, I just honestly haven't found the type of guy that I'm looking for. That way it paints a picture where you actually at least know somewhat what you're looking for. You have some intention and you're not super green to the point where he can take advantage of you. That's a better way to position that.
Girls, it's time for you to start being so for real. You will never outmaneuver, outtalk, outmanipulate a rich, successful older man. It's never gonna happen. You will never outsmart a powerful man. Whatever fantasies they sell you about dressing and speaking and acting a certain type of way so that you can get the results that you want out of a rich man are just that. They're fantasies, nothing else. Because in reality, they can smell that a mile away. They can see when you're lying, when you're scheming, when you're trying to act like you're somebody you're not. Do you think they got all that money by being stupid and not being able to be socially aware and read people? Don't delude yourself. You will not outmanipulate him. Girls, it's time.
Okay. I want us to have a discussion about this one here. A couple things. Not all rich men are that socially intelligent. or even emotionally intelligent, because the skill set it takes to become rich is not necessarily the same skill set it takes to build good relationships, which is precisely why you don't see every billionaire and millionaire in a happy marriage. In fact, a lot of times you see them having a first or a second or a third wife. That doesn't correlate. But what I will say is dating older rich men and expecting that you're going to come in and just by, how do I say this in a nice way? Just by being beautiful, mesmerize him and make him feel like you're different than everyone else. That's not what's going to make you stand out. And sometimes the approach to, hey, I want to get a rich man, I'm just going to flaunt my dump truck and show him how amazing my yitties are, and then that's what's going to make him realize he wants to be with me. Unfortunately, that doesn't make you stand out from the crowd. In fact, every time you say yes to the rich, powerful, successful men, it actually makes you more like all the other beautiful women in his life who say yes to him. So ironically, if you want to stand out to a rich, successful man that wants you or has approached you, the best thing you can do for yourself is tell him no, and tell him no a lot. Because that's the one word that he's not used to hearing from women, especially when he has a lot of resources, a lot of power, and a lot of access. That makes it very easy and enticing for any woman to easily say yes to him. So if you actually want to separate yourself and have him think about you, you tell those men no. Because when you tell them no, then they start thinking, well, why are you telling me no? I only get told yes. Everyone tells me yes, especially all the women. They tell me yes and they do anything I want. You want money? No. You want access? No. You want to drive in my nice fancy car? No. Now they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on? All the things that usually make people say yes, you're saying no. Why? What's going on now? Now you have him by the hook. But you don't outsmart them by thinking that you're gonna, do all the things that all the other girls do, and then all of a sudden, he's gonna pick you because you're so beautiful, amazing, and gorgeous that you're so much more gorgeous than all the other gorgeous girls. It's not a diss. I just want you to understand that's not how you stand out in the rich men's mind. Okay.
Women in poverty, I can control them better. A girl who can't afford to say, Corey, I'm gone. She just can't afford to do it. So I take advantage of that.
Could you see yourself in a situation where a woman makes as much as you or more than you?
I like women who make money, just I can't do nothing with you other than sleep with you. If you could take care of yourself, you're going to think you could talk to me. I can fix your little deficiency if you do what I want you to do.
This man just casually admitted that he wants the kind of woman that he can financially abuse. They want to feel like you are beneath them. And the only way to do that is to be able to financially control you. They want you to have to consider, can I even afford to leave him? They don't want you to be a stay-at-home wife or a stay-at-home mom because they're wholesome and they think you'd make a great mom and they don't want to have their child raised in childcare. No, none of that. This is why so many of them long for the good old days when women had no bank accounts, when women didn't have jobs, when women couldn't make their own money. They long for those days because they believe those men had more control of their women. A good man doesn't want you to be with him just because you can't afford to leave. This is also why they're trying so hard to get rid of no-fault divorce. They want you to feel like you are stuck with them.
My advice to you would be never give up anything for yourself until you're married to that guy. Okay. It's not a diss to guys. It's not a diss to anyone. I just, honestly, I would advise that of you because unfortunately, when you start giving up a whole bunch of yourself for a guy and all he is to you is your boyfriend, all he has to do is say, I'm breaking up with you over text. And then where is your life? Okay. I seen someone in our Discord, by the way, please send in your questions into our Discord if you have them before we hop into our Discord. I seen someone in our Discord the other day talk about, it was like a couple weeks ago, that she was like in med school or something like that. And she was considering being like a stay-at-home wife because that's the eventual thing she wants to do. And even someone a couple days ago was saying they're really successful and they're considering, they don't want to be working forever. They want to eventually be a stay-at-home wife. Make sure that when you start dating these men, you don't get in your mind that, hey, oh, well, we're so serious now that I'm going to start giving up, the things that I've been doing and the things that have been important to me because now I'm going to transition myself into being, your girl and your girl only. Please never do that. When you do that and the men have that one leg up on you, if he's not your husband, they will take advantage of that, okay? When you have that's why I tell you guys, some of you in the Players Club, that you ask me questions and even in the Discord and you say, oh, well, Tomisin, how come I have trouble attracting men since I'm successful? Or what can I do to make guys feel more comfortable if I make more money than them? Nothing. You have to understand, when you're in a position of power, it will always offend and emasculate men who don't feel like they're on your level and don't feel like they'll ever get there. Because when they are thinking of women they can take advantage of, they realize they can't take advantage of you. And so that's kind of depressing for them because they know that they're either going to have to put their best foot forward. And if they don't, you'll walk away. There's nothing keeping you there. So for the men that want to take advantage, that's kind of disappointing.
Courtney!
Kevin.
Oh my god.
Nah, the neck is crazy.
I'm gonna hold you forever.
You're not at all what I thought you were gonna look like.
That neck bend is
I'm
crazy.
gonna hold you forever.
You're
I gotta play that neck bend back. That's a crazy neck bend.
I'm gonna hold you forever.
You're not at all what I thought you were gonna look like.
I know what I thought. Give me a spin, baby.
That still looks like Ed Sheeran.
Oh, you're so curvaceous.
You said you're a model?
Yes. I modeled. As a baby.
You said you were 6'5".
5'5", a little surprised.
You tricked me.
Now there's a
You know, it's funny. In the Love Is Blind episodes, even though they're not supposed to be talking about looks, people be trying to sneak it in there, and Love Is Blind be killing me. On the season before this season, so season 6, someone said that they look like Megan Fox in the pods. I'll just say she didn't look like Megan Fox. And yeah, so it's just funny how people describe themselves when they're behind the pods. And this season's pretty funny because we have Hannah and I think it's Leo that are no, it's not Hannah and Leo, Hannah and Nick. And Hannah's disappointed because Nick looks different than she thought he did when he was describing himself in the pods, which is a whole nother story for another episode of the show. Okay.
Watch how crazy perspective is. So, I'm 30 years old. I'm single. I live at home. I just spent the last year running around trying to figure out stuff, and I'm back at home. My job is hard. All my friends are getting married and engaged, and I'm not. Life just every day feels the same sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Or I am 30 years old, you guys, and I live at home because I just spent the last year traveling around and doing whatever I wanted, meeting so many people, having so much flexibility, and now I get to live at home and try and save to buy my own place and spend this quality time with my family that I'll never have again. And I haven't met my person yet, which is so cool because I still get to fall in love for the first time with someone new, and I will just love this person and they'll be so great for me because I've just chose not to settle, and that's so exciting. And my job is hard, but it's rewarding, and I'm so lucky to have a remote job that's flexible and work with amazing people, and I believe in what we're doing. And I get to go to beautiful walks every day because I have a healthy body, and I have an amazing community where I live that I'm working really hard to build, and that's pretty cool, don't you think? Love you guys, bye.
I think this is a really cool video. It's a neat video. Now, unfortunately, with the internet, people are gonna try to steal your joy, which I'm sure some people in the comments are trying to do in that video, is trying to steal her joy. Because what the.
So the dating
TikTok, don't make me mad. People are gonna try to steal your joy because I think perspective is a big part of your energy that you give off. Because I guarantee you, when it comes to actually the dating stage, her outlook on life is gonna drastically affect how attractive she is as a person, as a human being, to anyone who even is dating her. Because if your outlook is the previous one that she mentioned, that, oh, my life's so bad and I'm single and this is horrible and I'm never going to find love, by the time you do start dating a guy, the energy that you give off is going to actually repel men from wanting to date you, because they're going to say, why do I want you? You don't even seem to want yourself or like your own life. Why would I want to be part of your own misery? But her outlook is actually going to invite and attract a lot more people to her, because she sees herself as good and fierce and taking on the world and doing a whole bunch of fun, amazing things. So why wouldn't someone say, I want to join in on that fun? I want to be a part of that amazing awesomeness and that all that life has to offer, right? So when you kind of think of it like that, she's actually making her life easier when it comes to dating and meeting new people than the opposite, when she believes that her life is so horrible, because you end up repelling a lot more people that way, ironically. Weird.
It's always men are stupid, men are so stupid, men are so dumb. But he was smart enough to manipulate you into thinking that he was somebody he was not.
Damn, yo, you went to bro came in, chose what the yo? Wait, damn.
It's always men are stupid, men are so stupid, men are so dumb. But he was smart enough to manipulate you into thinking that he was somebody he was not.
Damn, yo, yeah, you just chill, bro.
He was smart enough to convince you to do things that you know deep down in your heart you never even wanted to do.
Damn.
He was smart enough to convince you that he was faithful. But he's so dumb. Sounds smart to me.
Damn,
Sounds smart. You sound like the fool. You really actually sound like the fool. He sound real smart to me. It's always men.
Some got into him. I don't know. Damn, yo, he's just chill, yo. Just chill, yo. I'm a guy and I'm gonna chill, yo. Like you getting into him. Pause, yo. I don't have nothing to say about that. He already kind of said what he needed to say, and I think you guys get it, right? Yeah. That's funny.
I got paid $2,000 to be a cuck today, and if you don't know what that means, it means I sit in the corner of a hotel room.
Chat, who sent me this video? See, y'all on the BS again. Y'all on the BS again. Who sent me this video? Raise your hand. Who sent me this video?
I got paid $2,000 to be a cuck today, and if you don't know what that means, it means I sit in the corner of a hotel room and watch people do the deed. Like, I don't get involved, I just watch. So he took me to dinner
You guys think this is funny?
first, and he dropped me off to park the car, and I felt so mysterious with my little Dior bag, my black dress, my linguine showing out the back, and ordering cocktails and literally everything off the menu, like prawn croquettes, octopus. That didn't taste very good. Sorry, guys. This was Midtown in West End, by the way. Would recommend. Steak cigars, spinach and artichoke dip. Oh my gosh, this stuff, now this was good. And also I saw on the menu that they do caviar. This was $80 for this little bit, and clearly I don't know how to eat fancy food because I was dropping this everywhere. The only time I've had caviar before was like this $16 box from Woolworths. Nothing special, but this, oh my god, it was delicious. Also, next time you go out on a fancy date, order a French 75 cocktail and upgrade the gin to something flavored, because you will seem like you know exactly what you're doing, but let me tell you, this cocktail is straight liquor. There is nothing else in it. Anyway, the guy I was with was feeling a bit nervous because he hasn't slept with anyone in 10 years. So we were like, let's do some shots together. Let's get some extra drinks. And the bartender was like, oh my god, if you're recording for TikTok, record this. I feel like it's kind of anticlimactic, but the rest of the night was not. Let me tell you. Oh my god. After this, we went to the hotel. We were there for like 2 hours, and I was having the time of my life watching this. It was so fun, and we did a little debrief afterwards at a bar. What a good night. I got paid $2,000 to be a cuck today, and if you don't know what that means...
Is this content? Chat, please update me. I think maybe I've missed out on this new TikTok trend here. Is this the new vlog? I don't judge people and their lives. It's their lives. But I'm just I want to understand. Chat, please explain it to me. Is this the new content? These are the new vloggers? This is the type of, like, we vlog this now. Just explain it to me so I can understand where, content creation is heading. I want to have an understanding of things. Because the way she just, went about this, like this is super normal and casual. I feel like I'm missing out on something here. I've missed like a trend that's been going on. Is there a new hashtag? Can you explain that one to me, please?
What that means? It means I sit in the corner of a hotel room and watch people do the deed. Like, I don't get involved, I just watch.
It's like a day in the life. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I just don't get it. I don't know. I just think I don't. I think I'm lost. Chat, please explain it to me so that I can, watch it back and maybe understand if there's a new hashtag or trend or something.
It's getting crazy here. Women now want men that might have a raft. Do you have floaties? Do you have a canoe, a paddleboard, anything? We need water rescue men. We're willing to take you in, okay? We need a man that can come rescue us right now. It's getting crazy.
Oh, is this about the Hurricane Milton thing? That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. She was saying that what a women want men want men that can rescue them with rafts and stuff. That's funny.
So the dating scene in Florida is rapidly changing due to 2 hurricanes that we've suffered here. Women now are only looking for men that have houses, cars that haven't been flooded. Maybe you have power, air conditioning. We don't want to be hot out here. Maybe you got toilet paper and some food. That's all we're looking for now. So
Damn. Is that true for my Floridians? Is this facts here? Shout out to y'all that live in Florida. Hopefully you guys are all sheltered with electricity in a safe place and all your most important belongings from that devastating hurricane. Okay, hope you guys are doing well. Is that the dating scene in Florida now? Right? Is Tinder about, meeting up and exchanging toilet paper? I don't know. Okay, tell me, for those of you Floridians.
Marrying the wrong person is one of the most dangerous things that you can do. Go ahead and grab something stronger than wine because you're going to need it after hearing this. As a trial attorney, especially in my area, family law, I feel like I've heard it all. I know the worst of the worst. I'm wrong. This is Giselle Pellicott. She is a 71-year-old woman, a wife, a mother, a grandmother. She's been married to her husband, here he is, for 50 years, and she describes her marriage as wonderful. She said she had a loving marriage. He was a wonderful husband, a wonderful father, and also now a wonderful grandfather. But oh, what a difference a day makes. One day she gets a phone call from the police, ring-a-ling-a-ling, and they're asking her questions about her husband because he's currently under investigation for being a creep. He was at the grocery store filming up ladies' skirts and dresses. Nonetheless, she's shocked. She's not aware of any of this behavior. Time goes on, they end up confiscating his phone, his computer, and some other electronics. And what the police discover is honestly one of the most unimaginable things a wife would ever suspect. For at least the last decade of their 50-year marriage, her husband had been drugging her and inviting strangers to come have their way with her while she was unconscious. He was taking sleeping pills and grinding them up into her food and her drinks. He had advertisement on adult websites for men to just come on over. This was all discovered because on his laptop there was a folder that was labeled abuse. The cops think they're just investigating a creep at the grocery store, but it's so much worse. In this file, there were over 200 videos and photos of these men just coming in while she's unconscious and assaulting her sexually. Most of the guys were strangers. She didn't recognize any of them, except for one. One was her neighbor. Could you imagine waving and holding small talk with your neighbor from time to time? Lo and behold, he's your rapist. He's been inside their home. He helped fix like a couple of their bicycles. She sees him around town, waves some at the bakery.
What is this? What is this?
She even described him as normal, polite. The husband would give these men strict instructions on what they had to do when they came into the home. They couldn't wear cologne. They couldn't smell like smoke. Nothing that would trigger her senses and make her wake up. They had to get undressed in the kitchen so that they never would accidentally leave clothes behind in the bedroom. He had hand warmers for them to warm up so that when they touched her, she wouldn't wake up. Thankfully, 72 of these men have been identified thanks to facial recognition software. But only 50 of them are currently facing criminal charges, and their age range is in the 20s to 70s. The husband, Dominique Pellicott, is currently facing 20 years. That ain't long enough. She had no idea. And that's the scariest part of this. The police asked her about her health. She's been getting drugged every night for a decade. All she could say was that she's been to the doctor a couple times because she was starting to experience memory loss, but nobody could figure out why. You can live with, marry, birth children, have grandchildren, lay beside someone for 50 years. and still don't know him. It's pretty rare that I'm ever speechless, but the only words that come to mind is be careful. Be careful. On a lighter note, if you're not following me on Instagram, you should.
I don't have any words for that. If they put that in a movie, I would have said that's pretty unrealistic. They could have put that in a Tyler Perry movie. I would have said this is so unrealistic. That is I've never heard of that. I didn't even know that was possible or something that someone would do. Boy, I tell you, boy, some people, boy, it's not good to have an idle mind. The idle mind is the devil's playground. When you got too much time on your hands, that's when you start getting into all this conniving weirdo stuff. You know what I mean? Like that just too much time on your hands is not good. You should got something to do in your day and your week, and your man should also have lots of stuff to do in his day or his week. You know, boy, I tell you, boys. Boy, I tell you, boy. Boy, I tell you, boy.
And then I go and spoil it all by saying something stupid like
So I couldn't help but notice that you've been liking every single woman's Instagram post, validating them, letting...
Are those knives on her neck? What is that? Is that the new look that the kids are going with?
I couldn't help but notice that you've been liking every single woman's Instagram post, validating them, letting the entire world know that my boyfriend loves the women on his timeline, publicly embarrassing me because we've had this conversation multiple times. And if you actually love me, I never would have had to have told you that in the first place because you wouldn't want to give other women attention. And for what? You gotta like their bikini picture because you gotta have somebody on the back burner in case we don't work out? And you know, the world is split between people that don't think it's really that big of a deal and people that think it's disrespectful. And if it's not that big of a deal, then why do it? I'm not asking for fancy vacations, roses, nice dinners. I'm asking for bottom of the barrel bare minimum, and you can't even do that. The bar is on the floor, and somehow you were able to dig even lower. That's disrespectful enough. But the fact that we've had to have this conversation 3 separate times, and now you've created this distrust between us because you're a repeat offender, that's breakup worthy. Knowing that it hurts my feelings makes me feel less than because I look nothing like those women, and embarrasses me because it tells the world that my boyfriend has wandering eyes and a blatant disregard for his woman.
And then I go and spoil it all by...
Oh, okay. Damn, she went off. Here's the thing, though. See, nothing wrong with what she said, and everything she said, I'm sure at some point you have felt yourself in maybe with the guy you're talking to. Here's the opposite side of that. Unfortunately, these conversations don't really do anything. Okay? I'm not saying that if a guy is your boyfriend and you notice behavior that you don't like, you shouldn't address it. But what I am saying is when you try to do this with probably a guy that's not your boyfriend or your husband, it usually is not going to work out for you because you're expecting him to change things. And by the time you're telling him over and over again, you're going to be more frustrated expressing yourself over and over again than just realizing that the best way to use your energy is to walk away. Now, I'm not saying that in every scenario, as soon as a guy does one thing wrong, you should walk away. But after a while, because in her soliloquy, it's literally a soliloquy, she mentions doing it over and over again. There is a certain point where if that act is so disrespectful to you as she is describing that it's just not tolerable or it's breakup worthy and they're continuing to do this breakup worthy thing over and over again, then you need to walk away. If it's not breakup worthy, then that's a different story. But if you're saying that this is something you can't ever tolerate for, on an ongoing basis, then why are you continuing to tolerate it? So while this is a great soliloquy and this would be so amazing to say to someone and get off your chest, nothing really changes here because guys don't really change unless they feel it's necessary to change. And when do they feel it's necessary to change? When they notice that you're no longer giving them any sort of attention or care. That's when they actually notice that they need to make a change. Not when you do unfortunately, when you do all this, they just say, damn, I got that big schlong. She's back on my cojones again. Doesn't do you what you wanted to do.
Attention doesn't equal commitment. A man can spend 7 hours on the phone with you, go to bed, wake up and text another girl. I promise you, it doesn't really mean anything. A guy could be texting you every day, all day for months and have...
I just don't understand why they make the music so loud that you can barely hear them. whatever.
Absolutely no intention of actually committing to you. He might hang out with you every day, might be texting you every day, maybe he's commenting on stuff that you're posting, being public about you guys. He might even tell you that he wants to commit to you when the time is right, but that still doesn't equal commitment. Attention doesn't equal commitment. A man can spend
I would say consistency equals commitment, not spending any one day with you or a couple of days with you. It's the consistency over a period of time, okay? Over a long period of time. And I know being patient is boring. I know being patient is, uninteresting, and it doesn't feel magical, and it doesn't feel like you're being swept away on a white horse or being taken over with a wave of emotion. But I promise you, that's the real long-term happiness, okay? Let's do one more.
Ladies, you should always play mental games with guys. It is healthy. You're supposed to. Men were not wired to be the way they are now. Think about back to the beginning of time. Men have always been driven by competitive nature, a hunter, gatherer, wanting the girl that no one else can get, wanting the girl that no one else has been with, hoping they're still interested, or I wonder what they're thinking. Like, you have no idea because you have no type of communication capabilities. But now with phones, you should not be texting people 24/7, saying you're interested or saying, I can't wait to see you, all this other stuff. Like, men have never had that type of validation and stuff, so it always felt like a chase for them. They always were wondering and hoping the girl was still interested or whatever. But now, every day, the girl is showing, you're texting all the time. You can tell an energy of text if someone's still interested. You can tell in what they're saying. They could literally say they can't wait to hang out Friday, things like that. But guys have never got that. It's not healthy for a girl to constantly show interest in a guy, because a guy's human nature is going to be turned off. Like, you should never be fully interested in a guy communicating over the phone, ever. Play a little hard to get. Not crazy, but a little bit for sure, because you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing. We were not meant to have it so easy and get constant validation from girls. You should, if someone texts you, don't respond for 5 hours. If a guy texts you, says we should go do something, Wednesday, you should probably say, I'll be too busy. I got a lot of stuff going on that day. And don't give another time that you're going to be free. That's going to leave him thinking like, is she still interested? Whatever. He might get mixed feelings, might be overthinking it. Then all of a sudden you hit him back Friday and say, we should do something Saturday, or we should do something tomorrow. And I guarantee you he's coming crawling right back, and he's more interested than ever. Play into it. It's healthy.
No, I think actually what you do in that scenario is you say, no, I'm not free that day, blah, 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 blah. And then you allow him to ask you again, okay, so what day are you free? Then you give him Friday, I'm free. Okay, that's how you do that. He's a smart cookie though, but I'm just going to add it in, as a little expert advice there. Do that instead. Now, what he's saying here is very true. Now, I'll switch the word interest for reassurance, because you can obviously still be interested in like a guy. You can't do anything about your feelings towards a guy. But what I want you to stop doing is giving him a whole bunch of reassurance. Why? Because you're thinking in your mind, in order for guys to like me, they need constant reassurance. In reality, for them to like you, they don't need reassurance. In fact, when they're void of reassurance, that's when they actually have space to be like, oh, wow, what's going on with her? I want to know if she likes me. I want to know if she wants me. I want to know if things are working, right? And when they do that, they're on their toes, right? They're on their toes, leaning forward, thinking about you and what they need to do next. They're on offense. Then you get to play defense, relax, and receive his pursuit instead of you being on the offense because you're trying to get him to want you type of thing. Do not do that. Do not. Okay. Let's hop into our next segment of the day, chat. For those of you who know what that is, you better spam it up in the chat. If you're confused or you're new, you probably won't know what we're talking about. But for those of you who've been there, I want you to tell me up in the chat what time it is. It's a special time. It's an amazing time. It's a fun time. You're going to laugh. You're going to cry. Okay. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look nowhere else in your home. Okay. We're going to have lots and lots of fun here today. Okay. If you don't know what time it is, I'm going to tell you what time. It's Discord time! What was that noise? Yeah. Okay. All right, chat. For those of you who are still confused, I'm going to let you in on exactly what we do around here. Okay. So Discord time is a time where all the members of our Players Club Discord get an opportunity to ask me a question about their relationship or their situationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, you have a couple of ways of submitting your question to me, and I'm going to go over them right now. So you can submit your question through our free relationship advice forum, which is available in the link in my bio on TikTok, or the link in my description as well. Now, in order to ask that question, all you got to do is post your question in our free section, and I answer it on a first come, first serve basis. Okay. So you can see here, we got a few highlighted questions because it's first come, first serve, and there's some I still haven't gotten to. So I'm going to have to get to those first before I can get to yours. Now, if you don't want to wait your turn because you don't want to wait a couple of weeks or whatever, how long it's going to be to get me to answer your question, you can also post in our premium relationship advice section, which is essentially like a VIP pass that allows you to skip the line of people instead of having to wait a whole bunch of time to get your question answered. I answer these. I clear these out first before I go into the free section. Okay. So you have options there. You also can send in a private question to me if you're someone who wants to get my advice on a situation, but you don't want your business to be out there for everyone to see. There's a private relationship advice section there in our Discord, also in the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. Click where it says private relationship advice. You send in your question, donate to the show, and I get and I send you an email back with a voice message in my response to you, and no one else sees it. Okay. Also, premium relationship advice. All you got to do is donate to the show. When you donate to the show, you send in your username and the title of your question. I see it. I confirm that it's you. That way, only people that are in there are supposed to be in there. Okay. So let's hop right into our free section today. And we're going to get started with B, okay? So B says, I don't know what to do. Hello, Thompson. I'm actually a 21-year-old female that's dating a now 24-year-old man. So I think we did this one yesterday. This was like a double, okay? I remember that from yesterday. She kind of doubled up on hers. Now, let's do our next one, which was, that was a double, which comes from Monica. So Monica says, long distance relationship. Hello, I am 18 dating. Nope. We don't do under 20 in here, chat. No one under 20 in here, chat. Simply because if you're under 20, your issues are going to be very related to your age. And simply because the guys that you're dating are not going to know what they're doing. Okay. Need advice. Not sure what to believe. Hi, a little backstory. I was in a 5-year long distance relationship that ended early last year. He broke things off. A few months after, I met this guy who is my current boyfriend. He's the sweetest, most charming guy I've ever met. I honestly haven't found any red flags until recently. We went on a Euro trip together last year after a few dates, which was really spontaneous, and I had a lot of fun. Ever since that trip, we became really close and have been dating ever since. However, around the time I received an anonymous message from someone warning me about him, but I decided to ignore it since he's always been really nice to me and I had no reason to not trust him. Okay. What did the anonymous message say? Okay, you just warning him and just warning you in general, especially since that hadn't been my experience with him and I didn't want to start digging. Now that my boyfriend and I have been dating for over a year, I received another anonymous message saying that he has been messaging ex-flings when he's not with me and that they had proof. Excuse me, interesting. Immediately, I freaked out since my boyfriend and I travel a lot for work, so we're not always together. I confronted my boyfriend about it and replied to his message asking for the proof. I received iMessage screenshots from the anonymous sender of my BF sending her songs and messages every now and then for over a year, but she hasn't replied since May 2023, which is a few months before we met. Oh boy. So basically, my boyfriend has been talking to himself for over a year. This is really embarrassing. I won't lie. I won't sugarcoat it. This is really embarrassing. The most recent song he has sent was a few days ago, which was a few days before I visited him in the city he's currently working in. The anonymous sender said she has been dealing with these messages for... What do you mean the anonymous sender? I'm assuming it's the ex. Who else would have access to those messages? From him for 2 years, and he hasn't stopped bothering her, and it was disrespectful. I honestly don't know what to think. What do you mean you don't know what to think? What do you mean? My boyfriend said it's a crazy ex-fling who he didn't want a serious relationship with, which I get. What? I just don't get why he would continue to message her. She clearly hasn't responded to him. You don't see what he did there? Sorry, you're asking this question because you don't get it. Let me explain it to you. What he did here is a common trick that guys do, well, people do. See, when they tell you a story, instead of telling you the story from the aspect that makes them look bad, what some people will do is instead of actually thinking of a good lie, they'll just literally flip what makes them look bad and put it on the other person so that they look like the hero in the story and the other person looks like the villain. It's an easy way for them to, instead of having to think long and hard about making a cohesive story, especially when they know they were in the wrong or they did something wrong, they just flip exactly what they did wrong on the other person and then make it seem like that person is the bad person. So what your boyfriend did is he's saying, oh, she's a crazy ex-fling that talks to me and messages me 24/7 and blah, 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 and I don't really like her or want to talk to her or anything like that. And he's literally one for one just exchanging what he did to her and putting it on her to make himself look good. Because obviously it's also going to be embarrassing if he says, hey, yeah, by the way, this ex-fling, I've been messaging her for a year and she doesn't message me back. Obviously, he knows how embarrassing that is. He doesn't want to look that way to you. So he's telling you from the perspective of what he's been doing that looks embarrassing and just putting it on her instead. Okay, so I'll explain it to you so you can understand. She even included a screenshot conversation with her and a friend talking about how my boyfriend kept sending songs and her friend was warning her to not indulge, which confirmed that she hasn't responded to him and those screenshots weren't manipulated. She said she was a girl's girl and was just trying to help, that he was probably doing this to other ex-flings, and she didn't want him to continue to get away with it. Not sure what to do. I had asked her if we could chat on the phone as I needed more info, which she agreed to. But then I decided to leave it and not get involved more. Okay. This is a grave mistake. What you actually did here was you didn't want to find answers that would lead to you saying to yourself that you have to break up with him. This is what you actually did. Okay, I'm going to break it down for you. It's going to seem mean. Because you knew there was a possibility, there was a high likelihood that you were going to find some answers that were going to make it so that you had no way of going back into the relationship with him. You wanted to keep yourself in the dark about, these answers. That way you can have plausible deniability to yourself instead of holding yourself accountable and say, well, I'm not going to break up with him because I just don't know. Right? And honestly, this is going to sound mean. It's going to hurt your feelings, but it's going to help you. That's part of the reason you're in this scenario. Okay? Because I can assure you, if he's that bold to be messaging girls over and over again that aren't even sending him messages back, I can 100% guarantee you it's not the first time he's done that. And it's not the first time he's done something suspicious in his relationship with you. And if your first reaction is, I don't want more information, you've probably reacted like that in the relationship with him before. Meaning there's been other things that have come up that you said to yourself, oh, that's strange. Oh, that doesn't seem right. Oh, that makes me question things. But after saying that, you then said, well, I'd rather not dig because I don't want to know too much, that I can still say to myself, I want to be with you because I don't know that you're doing those things. I can guarantee you, okay? Usually 90% of the time when something happens is not the first time, and it won't be the last time, okay? People are patterns of creatures. So I say that to say, part of the issue here is your lack of desire to dig and investigate and get truthful information. Okay, obviously this girl came to you with information. Now you know something. That's already an offense that's, crazy enough. But instead of getting more information, you decided not to get involved more, as if this isn't your boyfriend and this isn't him messaging multiple times and ex-fling. What is there to not get involved with at this point? What are you avoiding? Unless you're avoiding the truth. Till this day, I don't know who the anonymous sender is by your own choice. There's nobody, that was your choice to not know who the sender is. My boyfriend didn't really give me more info. That was your choice to not get more info. You were offered more info. You chose not to get more info so you could claim to be naive to the situation. So you could claim ignorance. That was a choice you made. Okay? I should trust my boyfriend, right? Absolutely not. Why? Why would you? Why are you even asking me that question? You should absolutely not trust your boyfriend. There's a direct example of why you shouldn't trust him. Clearly, what he says to you and what he's actually doing is two completely different things. How would you be able to trust him from that? Should I be worried? You're actually asking me this? Should you be worried? Yeah. See. How old are you? You didn't say your age, but your relationship's been 5 years. Come on. You're in your... Boy, I tell you, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, man. You... See, you need to be watching my show every day. You need to have me on a 24-hour loop. See, you need to have me on a 24-hour loop. I'm telling you. You got to have me playing at all times of the day. You're in your early 30s, see, and you're asking me, should you be worried that your boyfriend of 5 years is consistent? We didn't even, let's really lay this down, because we didn't even really get to the crux of this. You've been in this relationship with him for 5 years, okay? And in this time of 5 years, right, you're saying that for over 1 year, 365 days, more than that actually, he's been messaging the same girl, having a conversation with himself. And you're asking me, should you be worried about this? I try to be copacetic, but sometimes these questions make it so hard. You should be worried, see. I also noticed my boyfriend's followings count dropped drastically after we had an argument about this, which I thought was weird. What would you do? You don't want to know what I would do. I see myself marrying this guy. We always talk about our future together. I'm confused and need help. I'm not going to advise you what I would do. You don't want to hear that answer. What you should do, though, is you should walk away. Either walk away or what you probably would be better for you. Go and get answers from the anonymous sender. Because I know if I just tell you to walk away, you won't actually do that. Let's be for real. Okay? If you haven't done that by now, you won't actually do that. What I want you to do is to rip the Band-Aid off. And the only way for you to do that is you're going to message the sender again. Don't tell me you blocked her or you can't find. Message the sender again. Call the sender if you need to. Message her multiple times. You know, if it's on Instagram, call her. Whatever you need to do to get to the access to that sender. And say, please get on the phone with me. I want you to tell me every single piece of information you have on my boyfriend. Show me every message. Tell me every time he's messaged what he said. Show me every Snapchat. Show me every DM. Show me every Facebook message. Show me every meme post. Show me every private story. Show me every close friend story. Show me everything. You're gonna be introduced to a world of information about your man that you never knew possible or even to be happening. You're going to be so shell-shocked that your only option, if you have any self-respect, will be to break up with him. Because I'm telling you this because I'm a guy. If a guy is that far off the deep end that he's messaging a girl, having a conversation with himself for a year, he is gone. What I mean by gone is he is not thinking about you or invested in this relationship with you, okay? There's no redeeming qualities to a man that far gone, okay? It's one thing to say, oh, he's giving attention back to a girl who likes him or wants him. It's another thing to say, oh, he's just entertaining girls who are approaching him, okay? But it's a whole different thing to say he's actually going out of his way to try to get someone to speak to him that's actively ignoring him. And on a regular basis, he's reaching out to her while being completely ignored by that woman. You have to understand like how far someone must go and be off the edge in order to be doing that. That's not even something that guys who are single should be doing, let alone someone who's in a relationship. So if he's that bold and has that much audacity to be messaging someone a year straight with no response back, just imagine what he would do if a girl actually wanted him back. Just imagine what he would do if this girl or any other girl he was messaging actually wanted him back. If that sounds scary to you, there's a reason for that. So you go and you investigate every and leave no stone unturned. Don't ask your boyfriend for the information. He's not going to give it to you, obviously. Go ask the people who offered you the information at the beginning. Get that anonymous girl and the girl he's been messaging on the phone and have a conversation with both of them and get all the information you need. I guarantee you, after that, it'll become very obvious what your next step should be. And if it's not obvious to you by then you just ain't getting it. Okay, let's go on to our next question. Our next one comes from Rach. Rach says, update for not looking for a relationship. Thank you, Tomisin, for reading my post and giving me the much needed reality check. I also enjoyed reading the chat's reaction. Most of the people I told did say to forget about him. It was amusing reading everyone's curiosity on what happened after we went to the car. However, nothing followed as we stayed in the car and had a chat while he rested because he hadn't been getting much sleep. For those that guessed, the reason I continued to pay him any attention was because he's hot. You're not far off. When I met him, he was my exact physical type and behaved like a gentleman during the 2 times we were together. On the day you read my post, Tomisin, I had plans to meet up with a group of ladies where we volunteer for the same organization. One of the women was my age and she got married 2 years ago. She shared her plans to travel solo for 2 months, and when I heard that, it inspired me to change my mindset. She's a living example for me that with with or without a relationship, I'm going to continue to live my life in a way that brings me happiness. I'm happy for you. That's a good realization to have. And space away from your partner helps them appreciate your presence rather than taking you for granted, right? I agree with 100%. After my dinner plans and you telling me to delete his existence off my phone, plus the chats and encouragement for me to run, it helped me see the light. I'm glad. I've since deleted his number, and the chat will be and chat, and will be deleting the dating app too. I've also decided to focus on the present and live life in the real world, doing what brings me joy and fulfillment, surrounding myself with like-minded people that want to give back to the community. There's no use worrying about being single when there are ladies doing things solo while in a marriage. I still want to meet someone, however, it's not something I can control, therefore I'm leaving it up to the universe timing. Perfect way to go about it. Thompson, I appreciate your hilarious, honest, and genuine advice in helping us ladies find lasting relationships. Am I on the right path that could lead to meeting the right man? 100%. I think the focus on you and investing in yourself is the number one thing that you can do for you, because that makes you a more attractive version of yourself. Guys aren't attracted to you when you are in a position where a man walking into your life is the only happiness you have. Men are attracted to you when they see that you have already existing happiness in your life, and they want to be a part of that. They want to be a part of what you have going on, okay? So ironically, it makes you the most attractive when you're investing in yourself and you actually have happiness and you're whole. Just make sure that when you do start dating someone new, that you don't put those things that are important to you or that you're discovering are important to you on the back burner, okay? Because it's easier to do that when you're single, but then when you meet a guy you like, it becomes hard to keep that on track, because you naturally want to say, oh, I like this guy so much, I just want to make sure he's taken care of and make sure that I do everything for him and he becomes my sole source of happiness. We don't want that, okay? But in terms of being on the right path, I think you came to the right realizations and you're now taking steps that are going to make you overall your happiness better and also make you a more attractive person because your life is more fulfilled even without a guy in it, okay? So that's a very good thing that you did there. All right, let's do another one here. Okay. This one was deleted. Okay. Next we have Pembroke. Okay. Pembroke says, question about a 30-year-old man. Hi, I'm 36 years old, a 36-year-old female with 2 teenagers. I am currently talking to a 30-year-old man with 4 kids. Okay. I've known this man for about 7 years because he's my son's barber. Okay. But he just opened up to me that he was interested. He seen you coming into the barbershop with your dumpy, and he said, damn, I'm going to give you a little discount on your kid's haircut if you give me a little 360. That's what he said? Okay. Interesting. We have gone on dates, and also he has been to my house while the kids are at school since I work from home. We have had pineapples. He said that he is looking for a relationship, but lately with his actions are not lining up. It's been a month and I did ask, so are you liking where we are going? And if not, the last thing I want is for us to keep having pineapples. This is a inside girlfriend situation. Wait, what? I don't understand that part. He didn't respond to my question, of course not, but later said he had an emergency and that I will definitely make time, baby, really soon for us to spend time together. It hasn't happened yet. But yesterday night, he asked to come over. I responded with, no, my kids are here. And he said, I understand, baby. And I haven't heard from him in 2 days. And I'm not messaging or calling to see what's up. Should I let it go now so it won't affect my son and their relationship as his barber, or give it another month and see where it goes? I'm going to give you a hard timeline so you're not confused. If he does not message you so you're not going to message him at all. Okay. You're not going to text him, call him, Snapchat him, whatever. In fact, actually, I know this is going to sound weird and stressful for you. Find a different barber. Okay. Because there's going to be something very important that's going to happen. For the next 2 weeks, there's a clock running. So the last time he messaged you, and 2 weeks from that time, there's an ongoing clock. Meaning, if he does not message you or contact you in these next 2 weeks for any reason whatsoever, just go ahead and delete his number, block him, get rid of him. Even if he messages you after that 2-week timeline, don't message him back. If he's not bothered to message you in a 2-week time span of you not messaging him or you not giving him access to you, that ship has sailed. The reason I say you're going to have to change barbers is because I don't want in that span of the 2 weeks you to show up in his life or do anything that doesn't require him to reach out to you. Because if you show up at the barbershop, he can strike a conversation with you. He can kind of, re-spark this without him actually having to reach out to you or, be intentional with you, right? You kind of show up in his life. I don't want that. I want the only way for him to get access to you, for it to be for him to actually have to go out of his way to reach out to you and be intentional with you. If in 2 weeks he doesn't send you a single message, even if he tries his best to be intentional with you after that, just go ahead and leave it. Now, my estimation is what's going to happen in this next, 2 weeks. Either he's not going to message you at all, or when he does message you, it's going to be low effort to just ask the same thing, can I come over? Now, this is the other thing I want you to make note of. If the next time he messages you, it's simply, can I come over? And then you say no, and then he disappears again, cut it off forever. Okay, very simple. So you got 3 options here. In the 2-week span, if he doesn't message you at all, you cut it out forever, you block him, just get rid of him out of your life. Don't talk to him again, move to a different barber. If he messages you and it's very low effort, meaning just can I come over again, you once again get rid of him out of your life. Just go ahead and block him, move your barber. You don't need to be seeing him on a regular basis. In fact, I'd advise you to move your barber regardless because you don't want anything in your life tied to him where you feel like it's necessary to be nice to him or anything like that. Now, the third scenario, and this is the most unlikely scenario, he messages you, he's intentional about it, and he says, hey, I actually want to, make sure that we have this go off on the right foot, and I want to, take you out on a date, okay? If he does that, then you can entertain him. If he does that within the 2 weeks time limit, okay? Anything other than that, you ignore him and move on with your life. Very simple. Also, regardless of the situation or how it ends, change your kid's barber. Sorry. Okay. The reason I say that, like I said, don't tie yourself to anything where you feel it's necessary to respond to him or be nice to him or be courteous to him because he's your kid's barber. You don't want him to mess up your kid's hairline, obviously. Okay. So change the barber. Find a new one. There's lots of barbers. Okay. He's not the only one. Right. So I hope that makes sense to you. All right, chat. That's the show for today. If you guys have any questions for me, make sure to ask it in our Players Club Discord or send it to me in our private relationship link. I said it's my private relationship link, and I'll answer it to you via your email, and it'll be just you and me that sees that message. Okay. For those of you who are on TikTok and you want to follow me on my Instagram is right above my head on the top left corner of the screen. My Instagram is also in the link in my description for those of you who are on the YouTube. All right. For those of you who are on TikTok, you want to rewatch the show and you want to see all the points that we talked about today from start to finish. It's all available on my YouTube page. I had a brain fart. It's all available on my YouTube page on the top right corner. And you can rewatch the show. Just hop into my live section. Type in my first name if you want. Hop into my live section. You'll be able to see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. And you'll get the YouTube and TikTok live chat embedded in the video. Okay. By the way, Scotty, send me a DM on TikTok so I can see your username because I need your actual @username to make you a moderator of the show. I can't just use the Scotty part, okay? Also, let me acknowledge Mel, who donated $5 to the YouTube chat here. Thank you so much, Mel. Mel says, my ex of 3 weeks called how to know his intention during no contact if I ignore his calls. I have no voicemail. Do I wait until the next text I want to try again? Mel, I know that you sent in this question here, but I want to get a better understanding of your whole story here. I don't want to give you an answer simply without knowing the whole context of your situation. So please put that in our Discord. You were watching the Discord, put that in our Discord, and then I'll answer it. And at least you'll get to be able to give me more details so I can give you direct, more specific advice. Okay, Mel? Thank you for the donation as well, though. Okay, many different ways that could go. So, all right. For those of you who are wondering when I am back on live, Mel said I sent you a private question. Perfect. Even better. I'll answer that ASAP. All right. For those of you who are wanting to know when I'm back online, I'm going to be here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm here tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. Got to figure out what time that is in your time zone. All right. So someone said, where can I send my story? Send it in our Discord. Okay. In our Discord, you have options in there. It's in the link in my bio on TikTok. Okay. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, goodbye. Arrivederci. Adios. Hasta la vista. Sayonara. Ciao. Salam. Bon voyage. And I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. I love you. Love you so much. See you later.